cloud engineer at Infosys. I have 5 years of working experience in IT industry, and I also in my part time also work as a freelancer with various companies. Let me share my screen. Can anyone confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the topic for let me just first brief you about what Learnovate e-commerce is all about. So, Learnovate e-commerce is a book selling company, and you can view their website here, learnovateecommerce.com. This is their FQDN. So here, if you go, you'll get all those details, like all the interns who has worked here and all the opportunities which Learnovate e-commerce offers. So this particular website, which you're currently seeing, is developed by me. So like towards the end of this internship program, I'll also teach you how you can easily make any kind of website, something like this. Like there are 2 3 websites which I have built personally for my college and for this company as well. So towards once we are done, I guess in the third or the fourth webinar, I'll be teaching you how you can actually make a website with GoDaddy and also purchase a domain name. So all those things I'll guiding. So today is just the first session, so I'll just be briefing about what HTML is, what CSS is all about, and based on today's webinar, I'll Arav sir or your respective TL would be giving you some tasks. So you just have to complete those tasks, and you have to submit it to him. Okay, am I clear? Like, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So let me begin with today's presentation. So as I said, I'll be only covering some basic stuffs about HTML, CSS, and how a web developer resume should look like. What are the mistakes which people tend to make when they are preparing a web developer resume, or all those stuff. All those stuff I'll be covering. So this is our agenda for today. I'll be covering what HTML is, what is domain naming system. I guess all of you are college students, so you would be feeling that all these things are a bit basics, but it's important because you'll be getting some tasks, so I don't want you all to be stuck somewhere. So let's just start, and then I'll be covering what are the tags and all those things, how to upload a file, how do we create a basic HTML form. Okay, so it's just a basic brush up of web development course. So before into coming sessions, I'll be covering what Bootstrap is, how do you use Bootstrap, how are CDNs imported into Bootstrap, what are the basic effects or what are the advanced effects in HTML, for example, parallax and all those things. So this today is just a basic session, so I just thought of covering all those basics which you'll be needing before building any kind of website. Yeah, so we all know what HTML is all about. So to create any kind of HTML page, what you have to do is you just have to start with doc type as HTML, and then one second, and then the first tag to be used is HTML tag. Header tag you will use to if you're giving any kind of headers in your page. Title page will put any kind of title. So for example, if I'm writing an addition program, so I'll put addition as my title, and then headers, and then for any tag which is being started, you just have to make sure that you're ending those tag with a slash sign. Okay, so this is a backslash. In the body section, will write what is a heading. You will write your paragraph. Basically, the body section is the main core of your web page program. So whatever is your main core, you will be writing in your body section. Okay, so what HTML is all about? So it is the language of the browser. We are all, I think all of you all are MCA or BCA students. So this is just a basic. Okay, so like one thing which I'll like to cover here is like HTML. Like me, many people tend to write HTML in the programming section of their resume. So for example, if you're writing Java, you're writing C, you're writing C++, and then all of us tend to do a mistake of writing HTML and CSS in the follow-up section, and in the continuation of Java and all those things. So this is something wrong which we are doing, because it is not a programming language. We should always make sure that we are making a different header for writing HTML and CSS and JavaScript and Bootstrap, all those things. So make sure that you're making another section in your resume. So for example, you can make a section like web languages or front end languages. All these things you can make sure you just make sure that you're not using programming languages, and that's it. And then we'll also use CSS, which is used to style my HTML pages. Okay, and it consists of elements that act as a building block in the creation of the structure of my web page. So there are many elements which comes into picture whenever you're using HTML. So it can be tags, it can be headers, it can be bodies, it can be images, anything you can add. So there are two type of pages mostly. One is a static page and the second is a dynamic page. Static pages mostly is like normal, what you can think is of a normal word page. So it's just a normal word page, it won't be changed. But if you're using an HTML, you can make your pages being dynamic, colorful, and all those stuff. Okay, so the most important thing is like domain naming system. Anybody is aware of what domain naming system is? Let me come to this page. Yeah. So, like, anybody is aware of what DNS is? So this is the most important topic of today's session, because most of us are aware of what is HTML, what is table tag, what is header tag, body tag. All of us are aware, but anybody is aware of what DNS is? Can I get some answers in the chat box? Shraddha, Sneha. Okay,
No,
so
ma'am, we are unaware about that.
Ramay, your voice is a bit drowsy for me. Can you speak clearer?
Uh, I'm unaware about that, ma'am.
Okay, sure. I'll just cover this topic. So, guys, we know this, right? That this particular website, considering this as an example, it has something like https://learnovate.ecommerce.com. Okay. So this thing. So, for example, if you enter anything, let's consider Flipkart. Okay. So if I'm opening Flipkart, right? So this thing is called as an FQDN. www.flipkart.com is my FQDN here. Let me just open a page. www.flipkart.com. Okay, so this is my FQDN. This is something which is called as FQDN, which is fully qualified domain name. Okay, let me just enter this particular in the meeting chat. FQDN is fully qualified domain name. Okay, so whenever, like, mostly just make sure that whenever you're talking to anybody or you're saying that you have developed this page. So for example, if I tell someone that I have developed this page, there are some technical terms associated with it. Okay, so this particular thing is my FQDN. Okay, so whenever you're creating your own website, so for example, this website creation is over, right? So you like, towards this end of this program, I'll be teaching you how to create this particular website. So website creation is done, right? But how will you publish this particular website over the internet if you're not sure, if you're not aware of what FQDN is, what IP addressing is, and what actually an SSL certificate works like? Okay, so FQDN stands for fully qualified domain name, as I told here in the chat. Okay, just make sure, guys, that you're pinning this important topic somewhere in your notebooks or wherever you feel like. Okay, just make sure that you're bookmarking it. Okay, so FQDN is fully qualified domain name. Okay, so what DNS is? So DNS is a phone book to the internet. So for example, how I am saving numbers in my phone, I'll save as, for example, how I'll save my number, for example, is, so consider 554, this number. Okay, so this number belongs to Shraddha. Okay, so if this number belongs to Shraddha, how my phone knows that this number is belonging to Shraddha? Because you have saved it, right? This is the number which corresponds to Shraddha name. Okay, so how internet will understand? Because internet does not understand numbers, right? So how internet will understand that whenever I'm hitting flipkart.com, it has to open flipkart.com. Okay, so how it understands is, to every domain name, to every FQDN, there is an IP address which is being associated. And how you'll find that IP address? So for example, consider any website, consider google.com, consider crickbuzz.com, Okay, so how internet understands that, for example, whenever any user is opening this particular FQDN, it has to open that page exactly and not google.com. So for example, whenever I'm opening flipkart.com, how my browser understands that it has to open this and not this? Okay, so it understands because every FQDN has an A record associated with it. A record is nothing but an IP address associated with any domain name. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll open my command prompt. How you can check any IP address? What you have to do is you have to do Windows plus R. Okay, enter Windows R in your laptop or open Run and hit CMD. So once you hit CMD, okay, for me CMD is not opening. Okay, let me search here command prompt. So okay, in run you just type cmd, it will open command prompt. Okay, and what you have to search for is ns lookup followed by any fqdn in which you want, like for the ip address which you want to know for. So for example, if you want to know the ip address of learnovatecommerce.com, I'll just copy this learnovatecommerce.com. I'll go to my command prompt, I'll type ns lookup followed by this address learnovatecommerce.com, then I'll hit enter. Okay, so you can see there is an there is an address which is being coming up. Okay, so how I'll verify whether this ip address is correct or not, whether this particular ip address of Learnovate e-commerce, which is 13.248.243.5 and 76.223.105.230 is correct or not. Anybody? Can anybody give me some guesses? How I'll come to know if learnovatecommerce.com or flipkart.com or any particular FQDN has that IP address which is correct or not? Apurva, you're aware how you'll find out whether the website IP address is correct or not. So, for example, if I'm running here ns lookup, how I'll come to know whether this IP address is correct or not. ns lookup learnovatecommerce.com, or just for an example, let's take ns lookup flipkart.com. Okay, so how I'll find out this particular IP address is correct IP address, which my command prompt is giving is correct or not? Okay, guys, anybody, like even a wrong guess would do for me. I'm not an expert, so anybody can just make a wild guess, that would do. Aditya, are you trying to speak because you're not audible?
Yes, ma'am. It consists of four numbers divided by separated by dots.
Yeah, you're correct that it consists of four numbers separated by dots. That is correct. But how, like, for example, this is just my normal laptop, right? What I'm doing is ns lookup flipkart.com and it is giving me an IP address, right? So how I'll verify whether this IP address associated with flipkart.com, learnovatecommerce.com or any particular website is correct or not? You're very correct that it will consist of dots separated by 4 digits. Okay, so let me just tell you. Actually, Aditya, well appreciated. Uh, you just tried Shraddha. The IP address must contain 4 non-empty parts that are separated with 3 dots. Yes, Shraddha, you're also correct. But my question was like, for example, if I'm hitting on my command prompt ns lookup learnovatecommerce.com, it is giving me 2 IP addresses, right? And this IP address can be wrong also, right? How I will, for example, if I search your name in my phone, there would be multiple Shraddhas, right? But how I will verify that Shraddha is correct or not? I'll try calling that Shraddha, right? I'll try calling on this number and try to speak whether this person is an actual Shraddha or not, right? So in internet, in phone book directory also there is a way. So for example, there are multiple sites. What you'll do is you'll go to who.is. Okay. What I'll do here is I'll copy this FQDN fully qualified domain name. I'll control C. I'll paste that domain name here, learnovatecommerce.com. Okay, I'll hit enter And then you can see here that I've purchased this website and the whois server is godaddy.com. I told in the beginning of the session only that I made this site on GoDaddy, and then this particular expiry date and the name servers are also from GoDaddy. Okay, so how I'll come is I'll go to DNS records. I'll check for an A record here. Okay, so what was the A record I was getting here? The A record which I got here was 76.223.105.230. Okay, so I'll search here 76.223.105.230. It's visible to everyone, right? So on internet, the IP address of learnovatecommerce.com is 76.223.15.105.230. Okay, there was one more address popped up in my command prompt, that was 13.248.243.5. 13.248.243.5. So I'll go on whois 13.248.243.5. Okay. So let's just see for flipkart.com. Okay. We'll just do a verification. We'll go here. We'll search for flipkart.com now. Okay, we'll go to the DNS record section. Okay, so here you will be seeing the A record which was given to me. So what I'll do is 103.243.32.90 was the Flipkart's address. So I'll go on whois. You can see here, right? 103.243.32.90. Okay, so this is the IP address binded to Flipkart's address. Okay, there are multiple A records as well. It depends on how, like while purchasing, what is the specification I'm giving. If I'm giving a high availability, it would give me 2, 3, 4 addresses, A records. Okay, so like this concept is clear to everyone. So I'll just give a summary here. So for example, in your interviews or anywhere, just this is just a knowledge thing. If anybody is asking you what DNS is, so the first thing you have to say is DNS is a phone book to the internet. Okay, it maps IP addresses to FQDNs, which is fully qualified domain names. So like internet will not understand what flipkart.com is, but internet will understand what 103.243.32.90. Okay, and there is one more thing. What we can do is we can do NS lookup. So here in my PPT, there are two concepts which I have pointed out. One is forward lookup zone. Second is reverse lookup zone. Okay. So in your phones, if I'm using this particular number, so for example, even if I search with 8765437555, and if I dial, it will automatically understand that this number belongs to Shraddha. Okay. Or even if I search Shraddha, it gives me this number. Okay. So similar to this in internet also, if I write NS lookup followed by this IP address, it should give me flipkart.com. Okay, it's saying that it's not existent domain or it's unknown because I'm connected to a private network. If you just search on any public or on your Wi-Fi, it would give you a result. For example, this is called as a reverse lookup. So if I'm for any particular domain, if I'm searching with NS lookup followed by IP address, this is a reverse lookup zone. And if I'm doing NS lookup followed by an IP address, this would give me a this is nothing but a forward lookup zone. Okay, so whenever I'm searching directly with the name, so for example, if I'm searching Shraddha directly, this is called forward lookup. If I'm searching Shraddha with her number, for example 9359654, that is nothing but reverse lookup zone. I think also, like guys, there's one more thing I'll try to ask you. So how you'll come to know that, so for example, you have there are situations, right, that we observe that there's a site which is down. Okay, so as a web developer, how you will identify that there's a site which is, for example, learnovatecommerce.com, Flipkart, Myntra, ClickBus, how you'll find out that a site is actually not working? Any wild guesses here? I'll ask Aditya because he was a bit active. Aditya, any wild guesses here? How you'll identify if a site is live or not, or it's working or not, or it's actually stopped working? How you'll identify whether it's working or not?
First, internet.
Yeah, the first step would be internet. You will try. So, for example, if I'm trying to search flipkart.com and it gives me a 404 not found. Okay, your first question was your first answer is right, that you'll go on internet and search. And how technically you will find out that it's actually not working? It could be an issue with your internet also, right? That your
Yes.
internet is slow or your Wi-Fi is not working, something like this. What would be the second step you'll take if your site is down? If you want to identify if your site is down. Shraddha, any guesses you have? Shraddha, Sneha, or anyone? So, for example, if someday Learnovate comes to know that their website is not working, how, like, what are the steps they need to take and how they would identify whether their website is not working actually? Gagan is also there. Gagan, Apurva. Actually, I know Apurva and Shraddha personally also. Oh, okay. So let me answer. So the first thing which Aditya told was truly correct. The first thing what you'll do is you'll go to learnovatecommerce.com or over the internet, and you'll find out whether it's working or not. If it gives me a 404 not found error, or if it's again, if it's just loading, that does not give me a complete test, right? So what I'll do is I'll go on command prompt. I think there is some answer here. IP, no. Yes, Aditya, tell me.
Ma'am, I don't know exactly, but there are some monitoring tools. I have just heard day before yesterday. There are some monitoring tools which helps us to know whether that website is having server down.
Yeah, you're correct. We have a lot of monitoring tools. We have Kibana. We have over Azure
Yeah.
also. We can, if our website is deployed over Azure, also there's Driver, Metrics Explorer, all those things
Yes, ma'am.
there. Yeah, you're correct, Aditya. Like the two options which you gave was truly correct. Okay. The third option which I'd like to tell you is like you'll go to your command prompt. You'll simply enter your ping. Okay, I'll enter ping, and then I'll put this learnowithecommerce.com. Okay, so if I'm getting a ping response, okay, so whatever, like the command is ping followed by learnowithecommerce.com. Okay, so in return, if you're getting a pinging learnowithecommerce.com with bytes, TTL is time to live. So if you're getting this reply from 76 to 23 105.230, okay, so this was the IP address, right, of learnowithecommerce.com. If you see, so if you get such replies with bytes time, so how much time it is taking me to respond. So for example, it took 42 milliseconds, 124 milliseconds, 44 milliseconds, 244, 247 milliseconds to respond. Okay, so which is pretty less, right? Which shows that my site is active and it's working. So for example, if you see here, sent packets is 4, I can see 4 packets being sent, received is 4, lost is 0. Okay, and 0% loss I can see here. So and then approximate round trip time in milliseconds is 42 milliseconds. So the time which my ping response, like I ran the command, I got response in 42 milliseconds, not even seconds. That is, this 42 milliseconds is even less. Okay, so like what Aditya told, the first thing would I will just browse that. The second thing which he told is there are a lot of monitoring tools available in the market right now, but that is also a bit expensive to deploy because learnovitecommerce.com does not have any monitoring or metrics explorer thing. So the only thing which we do is we just search here and we see that if it's working or not. The third thing which we do here is like we'll make a normal ping and we'll see that what is the latency which we are getting. Okay, so this is how domain. Also, 1 second, I'll do one more thing. Since I'll search IP config and hit enter. Okay, so what IP config does is like it will show you your current IP configurations. Okay, so these are just the normal terminologies, guys, which whenever you go to into interviews of okay, so I got a response from, you can search for website name on platform like Twitter or Reddit to see if others are experiencing the similar problem. Yeah, Shraddha, your option is also correct. And thanks that you tried. to answer my question. Yeah, this is also correct that you will search the website name on platforms like Twitter and all those things, and then you'll see that if there's similar problems being experienced or not. Yeah. So, like, can anybody summarize on what we discussed right now? How you'll find that a website is actually working or not? Okay, so let me summarize. The first thing
We
which I'll
can
do
visit
is,
the
yeah, yes,
we
Ramya,
can
go ahead.
visit the we can visit the website and we can check this one, or check
Yes,
the status code also. By checking the status code also, we can check this website is working or not. And
yes,
as someone mentioned, we can use website monitoring services as well,
yes,
and check with different devices or networks, as Shraddha said.
yeah. And the fifth thing,
um, as you mentioned,
yeah,
IP
the fourth,
addresses.
yeah, what I'll do is like I'll run a ping on my command prompt. I'll run this command ping learnowithecommerce.com or ping anything followed by ping followed by any FQDN. And then in response, if you get something like this, so for example, sent packet is 4, received packet is 4, lost is 0. In return, if you get something like this and you get a reply from the website, so you'll consider that the website is working and it's particularly fine. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ramya, for summarizing this for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess like this is, guys, this is one of the most important topics. Like make sure that you are exploring this topic, which is DNS, domain naming system. Just make sure that you're exploring this topic very well, because if you go in interviews or if you want to become a very good web developer, like everybody in today's world know what HTML is, what CSS is. You'll know what inline CSS is, how do you add tags, because all these things you'll get on ChatGPT, right? If, for example, if I want to make a website and if I just put the structure on AI, it will give me an entire code. But to execute all those things, you'll need to have knowledge. Okay. So for example, if I go here, if I search here, can anybody tell what HTTP and HTTPS is? What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS?
HTTP, ma'am, Hypertext Transfer Protocol.
Yeah. And HTTPS?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol, maybe secure or
Yeah,
secure,
you're correct, it
I
is
guess.
secure. So what makes the difference? So for example, if I'm running a website on HTTP, and if I'm running a website on HTTPS, what is the difference? You're correct, Ramya. You're very correct that it is secure, one is not secure.
On HTTP, it defines how messages are formatted and transmitted, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're
HTTPS,
correct.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
an extension to the HTTP, which is added security or security measures added to the same HTTP.
Yes, correct. So, and also like one 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 technical thing here would be, you gave a nice overview, Ramya, but one thing would be like HTTP works on port 80, okay, and HTTPS works on port 443. Okay. So as a web developer, yeah, correct. Shraddha just took my mouth's word. She's very correct that HTTP uses port 80 for communication and HTTP uses port 443 for communication. Okay. So, for example, if I deploy any website, okay, with only an HTTP address, for example, if I deploy learnowithecommerce.com while creating it only on port 80, okay, what it will happen is like it is more exposed to threats or attacks, because it does not have a security concern attached to a website. Okay. So if my, for example, if you see learnowithecommerce.com operates on HTTPS, okay, so for example, whenever you have developed a website, right, and then you don't want your efforts to go into vain, right, you want to make your website very secure. Okay, so this is like it is not the difference between HTTP and HTTPS is not the S here. Okay, there is a 360 angle difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So for example, if you're using HTTPS, it will give me a 443 a port which will add a certificate to my website. Okay, so how I'll check, for example, for any website if a certificate is being attached or not. So like my screen is visible to everyone here, right? Can anybody confirm if my
Yes,
screen
ma'am.
is visible? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you'll do is, so for example, you can see here, right? Flipkart runs on HTTPS. Okay, it will run on HTTP also because it is a widely accessed site. So it will run on both the protocols. So what you have to do is you have to click on this button here, which is this arrow and this arrow. You just have to click here. You can see here that the connection is secure. You have to show the connection details. You have to click on. If you see here, the certificate is valid. Okay, you can see here that the certificate is valid for, and then the certificate, you can see here that it's globally signed. You can see all the serial number, version number, all these things for the certificate here. See, the serial number for the certificate is this. What is the validity for this certificate? It is valid until this time, 5:30 a.m. GMT plus 5:30, not after. It is valid till 28 2021. It is valid till. Also, like if you see the keys, if you see the certificate subject ID, it is not critical. Key ID is this. So these are, so if you see your certificate, if you'll see the public key, you'll see the private key. So for any website, you can determine how it is secure or not. So for example, Shraddha, I'll just show you one thing. SVIMS. Okay. Okay. So I don't know, because I know Shraddha, I can explain it a bit to her. So for example, if you would have seen this particular website of Sadhu Vaswani College, earlier it did not had a HTTPS validation. It was only working on HTTP and it did not had any secure certificate. So this website got hacked, and I suggested the college to opt for a SSL certificate, and they got an SSL certificate and their website is now secure. You can see the certificate is valid. So for any website or in any interview also, if you go and if they ask you, right, if you see here something like, for example, here you'll see that the certificate is secure. You'll just click on this three things and you'll see that the certificate is valid. So if you open any site and you see here the connection is not secure, something like this, so you can make an assumption that the site is not working on HTTPS, it is working only on HTTP, and it does not has a valid certificate attached to it, SSL certificate. Okay, and if you want to see what are the details of my certificate and what is the public key associated with it, you can just click on this three details and then you'll come to know who is the issuer, what is the SSH key, what is the public key, what are the certificate details, what is the ID, and all those stuff here. Is this clear? Like, did you guys find it useful and interesting rather than learning normal HTML and CSS thing?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Ramya. Thank you, Purva, for confirming. Yes, Aman, tell me. Yeah, okay. So just guys, just make sure that you're noting it down somewhere, because this would be asked to you in your interviews. Like I believe that all of you are college students, and this thing was very important, which I just now explained. And apart from this, I would because I have very less time left and I have a lot of slides to be covered. So what I would request all of you is to learn more about DNS and then the records associated with the DNS and its records. Okay. So in the next session, whenever you come up, and then you'll be getting all this communication with your team leads, whoever it is. And apart from that, like whenever you come to the next session, just make sure that you're learning what DNS is and what are the records associated with it. Okay. So if I just go to my console here, you'll see this is one second. Let me show you my IP configurations. So you'll see that IP address, IP6 address is this. IPv4 address for my computer is this. Okay. And then what you have to do is, like, this particular IP addresses which you get guys. So for example, if you see any IP address, for example 192.168.216.79. So can anybody tell me which class of IP addressing this falls into? Like, just let's just forget which class this is. Can anybody tell me what are the how many classes do we have in IPv4? And like, there are two kinds of IPs we have. One is public IP, the second is private IP addressing. So in public IP, how many classes we have?
4 class.
Yes, Apurva, very correct. And what are those classes?
Class A, class B, class C, and class D.
Yes, correct. So what I'll request all of you is just go a bit deeper into DNS if you want to understand the functioning of a particular website, because I'll tell you how do you develop it. Okay, by the end of this particular internship program, you'll be able to know how to make any kind of websites like this. So, for example, consider Apurva. Apurva wants to build her own website. She is interested into photography, and she wants to explore, or she wants to showcase the world her photography skills, and she wants to build a quick website. Okay, so I'll let you know how to do all those things. Okay, but before that, I'll request all of you to understand what are the classes of IP address, what DNS is, and what are the records associated with it. Okay, trust me, guys. Like, if you learn this, website development will become more easier for all of you. Okay, so let's just I think I got the topic for DNS was too stretched. I just thought that I'll give you as a homework, but it turned up all like I just explained everything here. So as I told you, forward lookup zone, and then reverse lookup zone we have. So in forward lookup zone, you will just have to enter NS lookup forward by the FQDN, which is fully qualified domain address, and then you'll get an IP address. Okay, so just now, as I explained, if I'm just searching Shraddha, I'll get her number. So that would be forward lookup zone. Reverse lookup zone is, I'll just, if I'm remembering Shraddha's number, and if I'm knowing that it is 2165821114227, then automatically my phone would know that it is Shraddha's number. Okay. So this is how you have to remember. Okay. This is just Shraddha example I just gave you to remember, so that it's fixed in your brain. So forward lookup zone, reverse lookup we have, and then also in DNS we have records. We have A record, which is an IPv4. We have AAA record, which is an IPv6. We have NS record, which is name server record. We have MX record for mailboxes. We have SOA record as state of authority records. Okay. Also, like, let's just ask me a quick question on DNS as well now. So, for example, guys, consider that I'm hitting any website, okay, flipkart.com, okay. So how my laptop is understanding that this page has to be opened, and it is like within some seconds it just opened up, right? So where this response is coming from? Is it from the internet? Like, it was very quick, guys. If you just if you would have noticed, like, for example, if you're searching any website for the first time, it takes a bit of time. The second time, if you open that, it opens up very quickly. So what is that terminology called in like, what is that technical term called? Any wild guesses, Aditya, Purva, Aman, anybody? How my laptop understands that it has, like, and how it opens up so quickly?
By sending a request and receiving the response.
Yeah, you're correct. I'm requesting for flipkart.com. I'm getting a response. Okay, so for first time, your understanding is correct. But for the second time, if I enter, I'll get the response very faster. So how it is? Like, so that technical term here is cache. Okay. So any, like, for example, if I have searched renovateecommerce.com for the 6th or 7th time in my laptop, it would be stored in my local cache. Okay. So for example, for the second time, for the first time, if I'm hitting it, it would just check. Yeah, correct, Ramya, very correct. It is caching. So the first time, whenever I'm entering, the request would go to my normal laptop cache, and it would see if there was any request for renovateecommerce.com being present in my um, laptop or not. Yes, Shraddha, even you are correct. Stores copies of recently visited web page images and other resources in its cache. Yes, very correct, Shraddha and Ramya. It stores in my cache. The second thing would be there is another terminology called as DNS caching. Okay, just the second is DNS caching. The third would be it would go to my local internet provider, and it would see that was there anything present in this cache or not. So, for example, if you would hover over the Instagram reel, so for example, in your house, if there are 5 people, right, you would see that all 5 of you would get the similar reel some or the other time in a day. That happens because your internet provider stores that data, like what is being browsed and what is being served and what is being seen on my internet. Okay, so that's why it would pop up in your feed also. Like that reel will also pop up in your feed. Yeah, so very correct, Shraddha and Ramya, that it is caching. And then I would request you to also understand more about DNS caching as well. Okay, so let's just go ahead. So we have CSS. This is just another normal HTML content. So what CSS is used for? CSS would just style my pages. It would give me a good look and feel to my website. So for example, if you're using only HTML, okay, so if I'm using normal HTML, it would look like this. It would just be a normal page without any coloring, without any effects, just normal page it would be. But if I just add CSS, it would give me a unique design. It would give me a styling to my page. Okay. So this is how CSS would look like. So how syntax for CSS is defined. The first thing would be selector and the other would be declaration. And then the declaration is again divided into two sections, which is one is property and then the second is value. And then property and value is divided by colons, and then the two declarations are being divided by semicolons. Okay, just make sure that you know how CSS syntax is being defined. It is a division of selector and a declaration. Declaration consists of two things, which is a property and a value. Okay, so this is just a normal example for CSS. So we have, like, this is just a normal 10th class content which I'll just cover in a second. So table, so for example, if you want to make a table in HTML, you just have to use a table tag. You just have to make sure that you're closing your table with a slash table, and then there are three elements. We have table row, table head, and table data. Okay, TR element defines a table row, TH defines a header, and all these things divide the table value. Okay, I'll not cover this. We have forms. So for example, if you're filling any kind of job application forms, okay, so let me just show you on learnovate.ecommerce.com page. One second. So what is this? This is just a normal form, okay? We are hiring page, apply now, name, phone, email, message, domain. So what is this? This is just a text box. This is my form where people fill and then submit the application and it reaches out to the owner or the HR, okay? So this is the normal form, okay? So what forms consist of? It will consist of a lot of elements, okay? It will consist of a text. And how do you create a form? First of all, create it with form tag, end it with form tag. In the middle you will be having form elements. Okay, so what are those elements? We have input types. Okay, so for example, what kind of value I want to put in. Okay, so input type can be a text, input type can be a radio. So for example, if you just want to select true or being false, so you'll put input type as radio. If you want to check boxes, you'll put input type as check boxes. If you want to submit the content, you'll put submit and then you have to just end it. This is just a normal form example where first name, last name, and then only first name and last name is there. Okay, radio button example is there. If you want to know what is a favorite language and you just want to choose among them, so for example, your favorite language is HTML, your favorite language is CSS, and then you can choose any one among them. So if you want to make an optional choice, for example, male or female, true or false, so for that kind of thing we'll use radio button element type. And then the next is checkboxes. So what checkboxes would do? So for example, if you want to check multiple options, if you want to have a tick box kind of thing. So for example, if you want to think that if you want to tick multiple options, for example, if you have a bike, you have, even if you have a car and a boat, if you want multiple options to be selected, you'll be using check boxes. Okay, and then the submit button, it would save all those responses, and then it would save it into another page. So basically, submit button thing works into PHP. So I've not included PHP here. Okay, I've just included normal HTML forms and how it would look like. So for example, you also want to upload a file, so the input type for that would be file. Okay, just this is a normal thing. This is, I think this is not being taught anywhere. I'm not sure. But input type. So for example, if you want to attach or if you want to upload any kind of file, or if you want to attach something, so for that you will be using input type is equal to file, and then this id comes from php file, and then the name, and then the submit. Okay, I guess this content which my slide had, all this are just a normal 10th class content which was being taught to all of you already. So I just gave a quick glimpse. Okay, any doubts anybody is having here on the topics being covered today, or if you want me to repeat something, or if you just have any confusion on the topics being covered, or any clarity or any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer all of anything. Shilpa, Sanju, anybody is having any questions for me? Aditya, you have any questions? Yeah, thank you, Ramya, for confirming. I think I'm done for today. And what I'll do is I'll just give a confirmation that I've covered all these topics to all of you, and nobody has any doubts. This is just a normal conclusion which I'll make if the silence continues till 49. I'll wait till 6:49 for one more minute to see if anybody is having any doubts.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Jagan.
No, ma'am.